This is episode 61 of Alternative Fact Chicago. B.Hun back again, actually in Detroit this week. Actually, I've been here for a little bit. But hey, the episodes still go on. We still got Cait. She's in Chicago, repping for the city today. Cait, how you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
I am doing great. Sounds like you've had a crazy day over there. Are you going to make it?
I have, yes. This is my favorite part of the day, so I'm ready.
All right, good. That's what I like to hear. It's my favorite part of the day, too. I know when you said earlier that you've been busy, a little stressed. I'm like, I get it. It's Wednesday. I feel like Tuesdays and Wednesdays are always the craziest day of the week.
For sure. And then Wednesday's over, and then you wake up, and it's like practically the weekend. So,
I know. Yeah. Once you get to Thursday, it's almost the weekend. So
exactly.
I love doing this. It's always a great time doing the episodes with you. So we got a lot to discuss today. But first, I think we should plug our social media. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. Make sure you follow us.
All right. What's your social media?
Cait No Jenner on Instagram, and then that's Cait, C-A-I-T, just like Caitlyn Jenner. And then Cait Hassett, C-A-I-T-H-A-S-S-E-T-T on Twitter.
Awesome. And my social media on Twitter and Instagram is B.Hun 1984. Once again, that's B-H-U-N 1984. Our show is hosted still on SoundCloud. You can find us on Spotify, mainly, of course, on iTunes. Please keep the ratings and reviews going. They are increasing. We do appreciate that. Also, you can email us show ideas at alternativefactchicago@gmail.com. Always leave your show ideas, tips, sponsorship ideas as well there too. You can always add us on Facebook and Instagram at Alternative Fact Chicago and on Twitter at @AFactChicago. Looks like our Twitter followers have increased well over 100, I will say, in the last couple of days. So it's good to see that growing as well too. Am I forgetting anything or what?
No, I think that's it. Oh, relationship advice. You could email us for relationship advice because B.Hun's so good at that.
I'm good at giving it, but not actually at following it.
That's the issue. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I have no shame in admitting that, but I'll definitely give you some great advice. So I think maybe if not next episode, maybe for episode 63, we'll do a section there. So if you have any questions or any type of advice that you would like for us to try to answer for you, please just let us know and we'll do our best to answer it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we got a couple of things coming up. And I know you have an announcement for next week's episode, but we've gotten great feedback from you. It's been a great couple of weeks having you on the show. Obviously did make some changes previously, but hey, I would say that with Alternative Fact Chicago from episode 1 to now, we've had a lot of growth. Always when you do growth, there are always going to be changes along the way, mishaps along the way, minor changes along the way. But hey, that's not always a bad thing. I think it's a great thing for us to keep proceeding. And I think we finally found our niche. We found our way and to carry us along for the next year or two and beyond. So with that being said, we've got great feedback from you on Cait, you being on the show, all the positive answers in regards to how well you're doing, just how our, feedback has been, how our, chemistry has been. And I think you've been a great addition to the show with your experience. You've hit the ground running from day one. So I want to say, from the bottom of my heart that I do appreciate you being on Alternative Fact Chicago. In the short time that you've helped out a lot behind the scenes that people don't even know about. And you have a lot of things coming up as well, too. So I want to say thank you. I want to say I appreciate you. I know the listeners appreciate you, too, as well. And I want to say right now that I would love if you are the new permanent co-host of Alternative Fact Chicago. I hope you say yes, because if not, I'm screwed.
I feel like this was like a prom proposal. Like that was real. That was real thought out. But hell yeah, let's do it.
All right, it was. I know. I just shot that from the hip right there. I just made it up right there.
From the heart is what you meant. So thank you.
It was from the heart. So I appreciate you. You've done a great job the last couple of episodes. The listeners have grown immensely in the past few weeks. I know I was telling you about that a little bit earlier. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but the listeners have grown, and it's not a bad thing. That's a great thing. So yeah. I do want to say that I appreciate that too. So we love you. The listeners love you, and we want to welcome you officially to Alternative Fact Chicago. But with that being said, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
It's going to go on with that. You think you can handle it?
Yeah. If I can handle working with you, I think I can handle the pressure. Yeah.
Pretty easy to work with, though.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, I just want to say thank you. And I know that I've had some followers come from Instagram that followed me on radio in Georgia that have come over and given awesome feedback on the show. So I'm really excited to see, what other states we could take over. So thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So from Chicago to the Midwest to Georgia
Right.
and beyond, we'll keep it going. I know it's a big country, but we've done a pretty good job so far. We got a long way to go, but
Yeah.
glad that you're a part of it.
Thank you.
Awesome. What announcement do we have for next week's episode?
Yeah, so last week, if you remembered us talking about the Women's March to the Polls, it's going down October 12th in celebration of, voter registration and trying to get particularly women, but every first-time voter out to vote here in local government and make a difference. And they're doing a march through downtown hosted by Women's March Chicago. And we're going to be super, super honored next week to have one of the co-founders of Women's March Chicago. Her name is Jondelyn Armstrong. She's going to join us on the show, kind of give you the inside scoop about Women's March Chicago, how you can get involved, why you should vote. And they're only doing like select interviews, so kind of a big deal. Make sure you tune in and check it out because it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. And it's great that when we reached out to do so, they, quickly obliged. They were totally open to it. I think it's a big event. I think it's very, very important that everyone votes, in these midterms elections. So, and, the fact that they're, obviously focusing on women, getting their, vote out there as well, too, is very, very important. So we're going to have to come up with a lot of good questions. I think it's going to be very informative. And we're actually going to be participating in the Women's March, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. We will be there October 12th. We're going to see that Trump baby balloon. So we're going to be all over it.
That's awesome. Can't wait for that. So be on the lookout for that next week's episode. It's awesome that they agree to participate and be part of the show. So we'll definitely make it a fun episode, have some good questions, and make it very informative for all those in Chicago. But like I said, and when is that Women's March again? I think it's the 13th of October.
Yeah, sorry, the 13th, a week from Saturday.
Absolutely. Sounds good. So be on the lookout for that. And then quickly, too, another reminder, we will be part of the Chicago Podcast Festival 2018 once again. That's on Sunday, December 2nd. We're going to be sharing the stage with NBA champion Antoine Walker. He hosts with the co-host from the Southside Heat podcast as well, too. So that's Sunday, December 2nd at Chicago Theater Works. I think it's going to be in the evening around 7 or 8 o'clock. The ticket link will be out soon. I think it actually is out, but we haven't posted it yet. So we will be posting it here very soon and closer to the day. Because I know when people in Chicago, everyone's last minute. I just know how it is. So we post something now. No one's going to look at it anyway. So just want to give you the heads up. It's a great opportunity. It's the second straight year that we have been part of the Chicago Podcast Festival. So thank you to Kelly. Thank you to everyone that, that supports us and gives us a recommendation for it. We really appreciate it. And we'll make sure to put on a great show. So be on the lookout for that for Sunday, December 2nd. I think that might be your very, very first live show, correct?
Yeah.
You excited?
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. It's like, so you have experience with doing things live. It's actually a lot of fun just being able to interact with the fans, listeners right there in front of your face. It can be a little intimidating, but I think it's a lot of fun. I definitely think it'll help you, give you a lot of experience.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited. Can't wait.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to let you take the reins over this one. Before we get into our topics, who is our fan of the week?
Yeah, so our fan of the week comes from Atlanta. A listener, his name's Tommy Lancaster from Audio Follicle Productions, actually reached out to us and was like, your podcast is dope, and I want to hook you guys up with some new intro music. So we're really excited to announce that will be coming soon. And also, check out Tommy, really good supporter of the show, and Audio Follicle Productions is like this innovative studio that coordinates and engineers audio content based out of Atlanta, working with up-and-coming Atlanta artists right now, and actually Atlanta's first American Basketball Association team, the Atlanta Rappers. So he's doing big things for music down there. He's got this like self-built studio and like totally self-taught, really cool dude. So shout out to Tommy, our fan of the week, and Audio Follicle Productions. Yeah.
Awesome. So shout out to Tommy. Hopefully he can come through with the fire intro song, since we do need another one. That will be coming very, very soon. Mm-hmm. But shout out to Tommy for that. And hopefully it's good. We don't want to have to say, hey, we don't like it. You got to do it over. No, I doubt it. I'm sure it'll be good. I know, right?
I was like, dang.
Yeah, what if we get it back and it's just like awful?
Oh, then we take away his fan of the week trophy and we give it to somebody else.
Exactly. No, so shouts out to Tommy, our fan of the week. And actually, so like I said, we will have a new intro song very soon, so be on the lookout for that. You ready to do this?
Yeah.
We got some good topics. This first one, Man, I'm kind of curious to get your thoughts on this. I know you actually sent me the link for it a couple of days ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd already heard about it, but definitely want to get your thoughts and opinions on this. So this first one, and I feel like it's been like a Kanye West overload lately.
Yeah.
You think like it's been too much of him as of late?
Yeah.
And I think he's been doing it on purpose, right? It seems like.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I told you, he's a Kardashian now. He's learned how to play in the limelight.
Almost too much, though.
Right, for sure.
Almost too much. But anyway, so he was on Saturday Night Live, of course. I'm sure you've seen the clips. He did an impromptu like Donald Trump rant as well, like almost completely in support of him. Sounding like he's 100% like pro-Trump. Even with some of the things that he was saying, it just seemed like he's going way overboard with it now. Mm-hmm. And just like with trolling the public, but even to the point to where it's almost this complete nonsense. But Lana Del Rey, who's actually done a lot of music with Kanye West in the past, even came out and spoke against him. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on her comments. Was it fair or foul? But first, I kind of want to read you some of for the listeners who may not have read or even heard what she said. But essentially, she was saying that, Trump becoming our president was a loss for the country, but the support of him is a loss for the culture, which I thought was very, very big for her to say. And she also said, I can assume you relate to his personality on some level, delusions of grandeur, extreme issues with narcissism, none of which should be a talking point if we weren't speaking about this man leading our country. And she goes on to say some other things as well, too. And basically just saying, if you support this person, there's really is an issue or something wrong with you. Do you think her comments are out of line? Fair or foul? Let's talk about it.
Okay, so I'm torn because if you know the backstory and you know that Kanye West came on SNL, went on a rant, SNL actually cut him off, didn't let him finish this rant about how he supports Trump and how just because he's black doesn't mean he has to be a Democrat. He even went and said that, when people ask me why I support Trump, I tell them if I was concerned about racism, I would have moved out of America a long time ago. So recognizing that Trump is a racist, recognizing that America is a racist, and then continuing to support him. And Lana Del Rey came for him on Instagram, posted this underneath, Kanye's picture. But my problem is that she came from him for a completely different reason. All Lana Del Rey's comments were about Trump being a misogynist and Trump not liking women. She said, if you think it's all right to support someone who believes it's okay to grab a woman by the, just because he's famous, then you need an intervention as much as he does. So I feel like Lana Del Rey came from for a completely different reason, which, yes, Donald Trump is absolutely a racist. Yes, Donald Trump is absolutely a misogynist. But I feel like they're fighting two separate battles right now. They're arguing in circles over different things because Kanye is basically saying, I like him despite the fact that he's racist, and didn't mention anything about his misogyny or the fact that he, told a woman reporter basically she doesn't think the other day and things like that. And Lana Del Rey is coming from a different end of the spectrum. So as much as I agree with Lana Del Rey, as much as I cannot get behind anybody who supports Trump, I have a very big issue with him for the same reason Lana Del Rey does. I just feel like it was an unnecessary comment on this post because they're not even talking about the same thing.
I almost wonder, why do people even still care or even have a thought about what he's saying? Right. And it's interesting that he would go on Saturday Night Live, and initially he was promoting an album. The album didn't come out. I don't know what he's thinking. I think he's definitely not out of the sunken place to where I think he's just saying things right now. And you could tell he just doesn't do specific research on everything. Right. I will agree with him that, obviously the 13th Amendment and it's a different form of slavery. I 100% agree with that. It's actually been talked about before, but you can tell he just read a headline somewhere, didn't do a lot of full research into it, and just went on a rant about that. So that part I do understand. I do get with him on. Other than that, I think he's just talking just to be talking at this point, going to a school and having a Colin Kaepernick shirt on with the MAGA hat on. I think he's just doing it to be an extreme troll. He's doing it for attention. And he does this every couple of weeks just to stay in the media attention because he knows what's going to happen is everyone like us, the media, sports, every single outlet out there is going to be talking about him. I think that's just his way of staying in the media right now, to where I do see her points. I'm glad that you mentioned that she came from the other side of the fence on things that he necessarily didn't even say. I think it's just his way of right now staying in the media, trying to think he can fix issues by staying in the media, when in reality, I think he's just overall losing support of so many people because he's just not necessarily thinking clearly. And he can say he's out of the sunken place. I don't really think that he is. And I'm just really curious as to why, like, no one in his family, and I mean the Kardashian family, is saying, especially with Kim, just saying, here, you need to sit down. You need to stop talking. And you just need to just make music and shut up. And obviously they're not doing it. I think that's a bigger issue right now is how come no one is stepping in and say, here, stop it. Yeah. Why is he going back on TMZ? I think it's just for attention, but someone needs to just step in and say, here, stop it. You need to just stop talking because right now it's not really getting him anywhere. And obviously it's not really helping with his music because I don't think he's making that good of music right now. So I think that's a bigger issue.
Funny that you said that because actually they just announced yesterday that Charlemagne and him and Kanye are going to sit down and have a conversation about mental health. So we'll see what happens from that. Because I think Kanye needs to take a very deep look at his mental health right now.
But I think he knows it, which is obviously why he's been on certain medications and prescriptions to kind of help with that. I'm assuming he's on it, but just one day to the next, he's just so up and down. Like he may have one opinion one day on one side of the fence. The next day, he has another opinion on the other side of the fence. So I think someone just needs to take his phone away, not let him go on certain appearances right now until he's really just can fix himself mentally, which I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But I think it's just a big issue. And like I said, the fact that people are talking about it week in and week out gives him opening to go out and say something else. Like I said, I think his family needs to step in and say, here, sit down. But I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
No, definitely won't.
So you think overall that her opinion, her thoughts were kind of right, but out of left field, which I can kind of see, but I get her point. But the crazy part is they've done music in the past. I'm not sure if they even talked personally. And why I was wondering, like, why don't these people just pick up the phone and call each other? Like, why do they have to Instagram it or tweet each other? It's like they're talking to the public to him as opposed to reaching out and talking to him directly. Why do people do that?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Probably because it's way easier to say whatever the hell you want online than like, you know what I mean? Like anybody, even celebrities can sit behind a phone and type, so.
Right. We'll keep up with that. Like I said, I think his music hopefully should supersede all. Him pushing his album back is just crazy. So I'm not sure what's necessarily going on with him right now. Maybe he's just not be able to focus on the music. Maybe the album wasn't that good, so he pushed it back. But I think that's what he needs to focus on because him trying to be in the political game and support people, I don't think we really care about that. I don't think that should matter right now at all.
For sure.
Absolutely. So switching gears, we got to talk about the NFL. And I know everyone in the past year was supposedly or allegedly boycotting the NFL. I know I didn't. Have you boycotted the NFL at all in the last year?
Not even a little bit.
Of course not. Like, why would you? The people that are saying, like, oh, I'm not going to watch it anymore. You're right. I'm watching it. I have been watching it. And if you haven't noticed, the NFL ratings across the board are up, I think, over 10%. I think I saw a stat. And then up 13% for families making over $150,000 per year, which last year, obviously, they were in the tank. So it sounds like the NFL is making a comeback. I have some reasons of why the NFL is doing better this year in 2018. What's your thoughts on the season so far and why the ratings are going back up?
So first of all, I just want to point out that like everything I've read has been like contradictory about NFL ratings. Like I literally read an article that was like 8 reasons why the NFL is dying and then another 8 reasons why the NFL is flourishing. And so we have all these freaking statistics and a lot of opinions, right. But not a lot to necessarily back it up. But I think right now that the NFL makes more money than ever. We talked about this a couple weeks ago with like the NFL Hall of Famer strike and how like you cannot go to an NFL game on the cheap anymore. Even the nosebleeds are expensive. Everything, the gear, everything is so expensive and that has anything to do with the NFL. It's not cheap anymore at all. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think the reason that the NFL is doing so well right now and the numbers are up, especially with those affluent families making, buku dollars, is because online betting is up.
Ooh, that's a good one.
They have just made it so super sinfully easy to make bets and make money on these games from your phone. And I think that these people that have money and like to gamble and go to Vegas are finding out that they can do everything from online, and they're getting into the game. And I think that's why viewership's going up and approval is going up. That's my guess. There's obviously a lot of other attributes to it, but I think that that's a really big industry that's taken over that people aren't really, paying enough attention to.
That's a good notion. I didn't honestly even think of that. My guess is why ratings are going up. I think, for one, some of the matchups have been a lot better. For example, like this past Thursday, it was the LA Rams versus the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
You don't necessarily see matchups like that on a Thursday night for NFL football. It was a great game. It was a shootout. Most games I've seen this year have been very, very close, down to the wire. Like, for example, the Cleveland Browns, with Baker Mayfield, him in an overtime game. Patrick Mahomes on this past Monday on Monday Night Football for the Kansas City Chiefs had to come all the way back. Chicago Bears, Green Bay, Week 1, I think was Sunday Night Football with Aaron Rodgers coming back. I think just the talent and these teams, there's so much parity right now. There's really no clear-cut team that you say, okay, they're absolutely winning the Super Bowl. There's obviously a few teams that are at the top of 4-0 right now, like Rams. Chiefs are good, this and that. But I think just overall, the competition right now is so close. Games are so close. Like the Dallas-Detroit game was so close. The finishes are great right now, so I think that's helping out a lot. Scoring is helping out a lot. A lot of these games are shootouts. Teams scoring, 30, 35, 40 points a game right now. People want to see action. People want to see teams that are actually going to score. The days of 6-3 games or 10-7 games where you're just bored out of your mind, you don't see any action. People want to see offense. They want to see points. And then 3, the fact that almost every single team has pretty much a top-notch or a franchise-type quarterback. Mahomes, Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. All these teams just have top-notch quarterbacks right now out there. So I think that's helped increase interest right now. So if you have teams that can score, you can put points on the board, people are going to watch each and every Sunday. So I think that's why everything's going up. But I think right now the NFL is doing great. And for all those that are lying and saying that they don't watch the NFL, you're missing out on some good football.
It's true. It's true. Good football, like this past weekend with the big Bears win. Are we ready to talk about the Bears?
Absolutely. Go for it.
All right. So if you missed it, which I hope you didn't, the Bears just absolutely killed the Bucks this past weekend.
Bucks are terrible, though.
I know
they started out good, but I think that was smoke and mirrors. They're not that good.
Yeah, for sure. The Bucks are not a great team, but we still looked really, really, really good. The Bears, number 1 in their division for the first time in years, and Mitch Trubisky just absolutely out of his shell this past weekend, looked very comfortable in the pocket against the Bucks. It's just like a quarterback that we have not seen yet and we've been wanting to see. And then that paired with Tariq Cohen, just an absolute weapon, like both on the backfield and as a receiver. The team absolutely came alive this past weekend. The offense is finally starting to show some life after, a slow start. Great record, but obviously a slow start to the season offensively. And now only like Cohen and Trubisky, not only they proven to be an important part of Chicago's success this year, but also the defense has been setting the tone on a weekly basis. So really exciting game this past weekend if you missed it. And I'm just really excited for the season coming up and some more wins. I know they're not your team, but
hey, they're doing better than the Lions right now, so I can't really say too much. I know I was pretty pissed that they lost to the Cowboys. They definitely should have won that game, but that's another topic for another day. But with Trubisky, so I'm still iffy on him. He actually has looked a lot better. The good thing about him, he's actually in an offense, with their coach that's high-powered. It's a college type of an offense, which is where the modern NFL day is right now. So if he can keep it together and keep improving, then I think they'll be okay. I'm still a little bit iffy on him, but I won't go too far as say that he's arrived and had his coming-out party. He may have, but we do got to keep in mind they did play the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're a train wreck. I know they started out good. I didn't think that was going to last. So let's not ride too much on that. But the biggest thing is their defense, Khalil Mack. They actually have an identity as a team. And the crazy part about the NFL is you can make a 180 turnaround for your franchise in one season. It doesn't take too long. You can be terrible one year and good the next with just one small change. Getting Khalil Mack changed the entire franchise. So it's exciting to see. Chicago should have a good football team. It's one of the biggest cities in the country. So it's good. It's exciting. I'm glad that they're actually better. I'm not going to say that they're actually arrived as of yet because they do have some tough games. I think the next game they go to Miami, which is going to be tough. Then they have New England, which is going to be tough. I think they have the Lions coming up soon, which they can win. But for some reason, the Lions always play the Bears very well, too. So I would say that they are better. It's exciting to see. I'm not going to call them a playoff team as of yet because it's only the first quarter of the season. They're 3-1, but they got a bye right now. So far, so good. But I'm actually impressed, and it's good to see for the city of Chicago.
Yeah, I'm saying this was their game. I'm saying this is the confidence boost they needed, and they're going to the playoffs.
Hey, better than the Cubs, man. At least we got the Bears right now. We'll talk about the Cubs a little bit later. I'm not sure what they've been doing the past week. Too soon. Yeah, that was a little brutal. So for now, obviously we got the Bears. The Blackhawks are starting soon. I know Chicago fans love the Hawks. I don't think they're going to be that good this season from what I've been hearing, but wait and see. But hey, at least we got the Bears, and the Bulls are starting soon too.
Yep.
You a Bulls fan?
Huge Bulls fan.
They'll be better. I'm sure we'll be talking about them a lot this season as well.
Yeah, we definitely will.
Absolutely. So with that being said, before we get into this next topic, we got to talk a little bit of music here. And I know we have to talk about our sponsorship here with the Wrigley Report. Speak of the devil, unfortunately, with the Chicago Cubs. But this portion of the episode is sponsored by the Wrigley Report. Cubs fans, if you're looking for the latest Wrigley renovations, updates, team news, player analysis, and overall Cub news, look no further than Wrigley Report, your source for all Chicago Cub news. You can find them everywhere on social media at Wrigley Report. I know Jason's going through it right now. He's a huge Chicago Cubs fan. They tanked it last night and the last week. I'm not sure what necessarily happened with them, but shout out to the Wrigley Report. Glad to have you as a sponsor. We're always looking for more sponsors, so please, you can always email us, you can tweet us or whatnot, alternativefactchicago@gmail.com. We're very responsive, and we'll get right back to you right away. And we're always looking for sponsors for shouts out to the Wrigley Report. Now, I'm curious to your opinion on this. I've listened to both albums this past weekend. We got to switch gears and talk about a little bit of music. We had the homie Lil Wayne. He's actually back. Been a long time coming, years in the making. The Carter 5 is out. Also, Logic dropped a new album. I think Frank Sinatra 4. Kanye West was supposed to drop an album, as you mentioned, but that just did not happen. Not sure what's going on with what's going on there. But I have my thoughts. I know for sure who had the better album this weekend. I hope yours is different than mine, so we can actually have a discussion on this. But what's your thoughts on both albums and who was better?
Okay, so if you listened last week, I really honestly did not think I was going to enjoy Lil Wayne's album. I was not even excited for the Carter 5 to drop. I
remember that.
I almost had to make myself listen to it because I don't know. I just kind of didn't really care. But I take it back now because I thought Lil Wayne's album was better than Logic's. I felt like the Carter 5 was an absolutely worth the wait. Just a culmination of all that he's done in his career. I mean, Lil Wayne is 36 years old. He's been around. He came up when music was changing, the genre was changing, and obviously he was an integral part of that. And you just forget, he's such a good storyteller. Some of my favorite songs on the album, obviously Mona Lisa with Kendrick, Open Safe and Don't Cry, and then that Nicki Minaj Love duet. I mean, I just really think he killed it and brought it. A really fantastic album from start to finish. Every song I liked. Every song was just lyrically what you can expect from a Lil Wayne album. It's almost like he took 5 years to make it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was so good. I thought it was really, really good. Wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did, and absolutely was blown away. Logic's Sinatra 4, also very, very good. I think he's maturing into a very thoughtful artist. And definitely an artist whose sound that will be around for years and that I want to hear for years. He's in his groove. He's in his element. He made a very vulnerable album, and I loved it. But I'm just going to say Lil Wayne took it on this one. The Carter 5, 10/10, would recommend. Cait's choice.
10 out of 10?
Yeah, I thought it was a great album.
So are you saying that it's one of the albums of the year? That's kind of how you're sounding right now.
I think that it's one of the albums of the year. I think it's a contender.
Okay.
It blew me away, honest to God. And I was not expecting to like it. And I really, really loved it. Yep.
So I'm going to take the opposite side of the fence here.
I knew you
Lil
would.
Wayne, of course, but Lil Wayne actually, it was a good album. I was pleasantly surprised. Like when he started off with the Don't Cry with XXX and Tentacion and X came out singing, I was like, man, I'm going to start crying myself. He came out with it right from the first, right out the gate. Dark Side of the Moon. I love Nicki Minaj singing. I think she should make almost an entire album singing because it fits her very well. She nailed it. Mona Lisa is probably one of the best songs I've heard of all of 2018. Kendrick's amazing. That might have been the verse of 2018. Just the whole song itself, the concept, the theme of the song, the story around it was amazing. That should be up for a Grammy because they nailed that song. It was a good album. And for not hearing Lil Wayne, I was very nervous going into it. I was hoping, man, I hope this isn't terrible. But the album sales are actually going to reflect it. It was a well thought out, put together album. Some songs better than others, but I will say I liked more songs than I didn't like, which gives it a thumbs up for me in my eyes. And for him not putting on the album for 5 or so years, I think it was impressive. It was a good showing, and it was a great way to finally wrap up the Carter series. So for that, I give him a thumbs up. Overall, I will say Logic's album, Night and Day, was just a better album in regards to the content, the rapping, the storytelling. Will I actually listen to Lil Wayne's album more than Logic? Probably, because it's more enjoyable. It's music you can listen to in the car, at the club, things like that. But in terms of a better put together album, I will 100% say, and I might get some flack for this, Logic's album was just better. Like, for example, he raps better. He kind of took it back. I wanted to see something a little bit different from him this go around. He's had some great albums in the past, but he switched it up, kind of have some older beats. So kind of took it back a little bit to the backpack rapping. I didn't necessarily like the Wu-Tang song. It was a good song, but it was just way too long. I don't need to hear one song for 8 minutes. I don't care who it is. That's just way too long. So overall, I mean, he basically just said like he's one of the best in the game. He actually had the confidence to show it. So like The Return was a good song. The song Ordinary Day with Haley Steinfeld was a good song. I love the storytelling in Street Dreams. That was a great song. He finally had a good song. Another good song with Icona with Jay Smith was good. He kind of had his wrap up. I know he was mentioning he wanted to do a song like a J. Cole does or someone where you actually have a last call type of ending to an album. He nailed that. I think it was just a well thought out, put together. He can rap with anyone in the game, almost better than most in the game. He kind of sounds like a J. Cole type rapper. I really like it. I think it was just put together better. Sonically, it sounds great. Had an old school feel, which is what I wanted to see him switch it up. So I say Lottie's better. Can't go wrong with Lil Wayne, though. Both very good projects.
Word.
So, but I want to say, are you actually a Logic fan, though, as opposed to listening to his album and liking it?
Yeah, no, and I do like Logic, and I do listen to him. And when you said that you wouldn't listen to that album in the car, like driving, I actually feel like Logic is the music that I will listen to more in a sense of like music at my house. Like when I'm getting ready, when I'm cooking, when I'm doing things at my house, like I would actually probably play Logic's album more often. I love his like vulnerable sound. I mean, his storytelling techniques, like you said, are just really, really great. But I do like all his albums. I've followed his career and I like him. I just think Lil Wayne took it on this one.
I think Logic gets a lot of like the flack or not as supported as he does from like true hip hop heads for one reason and one reason only is because he's mixed. He looks light skinned, looks white, even though he is mixed. So I think a lot of times people won't support him as much as that. And I see people on Twitter all the time so they don't rock with him. I'm like, why wouldn't you? So I think that's why he doesn't always get the credit that he does deserve for that very reason. So whereas some people in this case may even overlook his album and automatically write him off, even though he's made great album after great album. So I think that's why. But like I said, I'm not even a huge Logic fan like that. And I just don't necessarily understand why. He's a nice guy, but I think maybe the issue is he just doesn't seem like somebody I would ever really want to hang out with. Like, I don't know. He just seems like a nerdy type person. He's just like a nerd. He's just a genius. He can rap, which I think that's why it holds him back just a little bit. But he's an amazing performer. I've seen him live before, and he just puts out great albums. So my vote goes to Logic. Your vote goes to Lil Wayne. Let us know your thoughts. I know we'll have the episode everywhere. Let us know who you thought had the better album because I think it's a great debate. It's like two totally different albums, but both put together very well.
Yeah, well, I will piggyback too on what you just said. I think one of the reasons he doesn't get the recognition that he deserves is because I feel like he he asks for it. Like, I feel like in his lyrics, he's like, I deserve a Nike deal, and like, Jay-Z, will you work with me, and like
Right.
things like that. I feel like he's like asking for the respect instead of demanding it. So I think that's more
Right.
of what I expected to see out of this album that I didn't.
And
But
he just wants to be accepted so bad, when I
for
think
sure.
people really already like him enough. Like, he has a lot of fans, has a lot of money, got that huge deal. I think he should just talk up. So you can tell he started to have that bravado, like, I am one of the best. But he doesn't need to ask for a song with Jay. Just know that one day it is going to happen. So I agree with you.
Right. Yeah, Bale tell Jay to do one. It'll be fine.
Absolutely. Switching gears before we get into everything Chicago. All right, and I just want to get your thoughts briefly on this with the Brett Kavanaugh situation. I know it's been talked about a lot. We don't have to talk about it too long, but is he guilty or what?
For sure. And the fact that we're asking, here's my thing. The fact that we are asking if he is guilty is my problem with society right now. That we are literally, a woman comes forward saying that this happened and we're questioning her first and foremost. And, you know, you and I have disagreed on this topic before and probably will continue to disagree, because there is nowhere in my heart that I can believe that a woman can falsify a rape charge. I'm sure it has happened. The facts of it happening are far less than, you know, people want to believe. But I'll tell you what really came to light of this decision, or of this whole entire court case, was how incredibly insensitive the world is. Just like my timeline, my social media, the memes I was seeing, the things that people were sharing. I mean, it was just absolutely disappointing. Not only was it disappointing in the fact that Hilary Clinton sat in front of, you know, Congress in her hours of disposition and was cool, calm, and collected. And if she had been anything otherwise, we would have lived, the whole world would have blown up and said, because she's a woman. And Brett Kavanaugh sat there and defended himself with lying and screaming and yelling, and nobody blinked. And I'm just so disappointed in the way everything went down. I'm so disappointed in, you know, people on my Facebook that I say are friends but are acquaintances, and their responses to it. And I mean, I just don't understand what the age, what the time difference is. If it happened 36 years ago, if it happened yesterday. I mean, if anything else, this trended an entire hashtag of why
Right.
women don't report. And if that hasn't opened your eyes to it, then I don't really know how else we can help you at this point. Like,
And I know we've had this discussion in the past in regards to those women making those stories up. That I do agree with, and we can have that discussion some other time. But in this specific case, I 100% believe, what's her name, Christine Blasey Ford, something like
yes.
that. In this situation, yes. In this situation, I do believe her, and I don't think she would go this far with going on the stand and everything. It just, you could tell someone when they're just pretty authentic into the reports and things that they're saying. I believed her, and for some reason, it just seems like a lot of people don't want to believe her, that they're just automatically writing her off and saying that it's made up, this, that, and the other. And in this situation, it just shouldn't really matter whether he did it or not. The fact that this is even a discussion, he shouldn't necessarily even be considered anymore for the Supreme Court. Like, even like just the simple fact that we have to have him go on the stand, defend himself, talk about his past, and, you know, him liking beer and liking to drink and all that, he should just be eliminated from contention right off the bat. Like, just the fact that he's even in discussion for this, we should be like, okay, we're going to move on from this person. He may or may not be guilty, but we're going to find a better candidate for it. The fact that Donald Trump is defending him, saying he handled it very well, and he's getting even more support for this, it just goes to show that the times that we're in right now, it's very scary. And it makes it even more important for this Women's March to the polls and everyone that just needs to get out and vote. Like, these are the types of people that we can help prevent getting in the seat, because more and more of these type of people get in the seat. It's going to prevent more problems and just more people being able to be in position of power that do wrong. So he's 100% guilty. I can read it on his face. Not sure why he kept sniffling. I was like, either he's sick or he did a lot of cocaine or something like that. 'Cause he was sniffling the entire time. And did you see the Saturday Night Live skit? I think that Matt Damon, I think he nailed that speech. Yes. I thought it was hilarious.
Yes.
It was very, very funny. So I think he did it. Sound like you said you think he did. And whether or not, it just presents a bigger problem that we're supporting people, and, you know, the Republicans are supporting those who even, I think, just have a bravado about them where they feel entitled. And you can just see that he felt entitled all these years, and now that entitlement may be coming back to bite him. And you could tell he just couldn't handle it. He was acting like a baby. He was just yelling up there and almost crying. And he just seemed very cocky about it. And it just screamed guilty by me. So I think he did it. You think he did it. Some people don't. I've been in battles with some people on social media about this. And it just goes to show that we're in a crazy time. They're like, oh, man, these people are just really, really weird. And they're like, oh, where's the proof? And you can read it on his face. But if we're wrong, I'll be shocked. But I think he's 100% guilty.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said entitlement. I think I scrolled by something on Facebook that basically said, like, we live in this time now where, like all men need to be scared if they've ever, talked to a woman drunk at a party. And it's like, no, absolutely. But but the difference is that women have lived their lives, their whole entire lives, scared that a drunk man is going to harass them at a party. And now all of a sudden the script is flipped on men. We need to be teaching our men better, even if they're in college, even if they're drunk. At what stance does this become okay? And so, yes, he does deserve to pay for it 35 years later by his political career being taken away. He's still got money. He's still got a family. It is what it is. But, I mean, obviously he did something wrong or he wouldn't have acted that way.
Switching gears now, let's talk about some everything Chicago news. We love discussing it. So for all of our new followers, fans, listeners of Alternative Fact Chicago, obviously with the show being based in Chicago, we're always, each and every episode, going to have a segment of Chicago news, topics, and anything going on in the city, because obviously we have a lot of listeners in the city, so we have to keep them up to date on what's going on in our city of Chicago. So first of all, this Treasure Island story is pretty nuts. For those that have never been to the city, Treasure Island is a grocery store. It's been active for 55 years, but it's actually closing all of their remaining stores coming up as of, I think, the middle of October. So, Cait, what's going on with Treasure Island?
Yeah, so like you said, Treasure Island, just a hometown grocery store, been around for 55 years, and it was like the first store to do organic here in Chicago. So definitely like a trailblazer, especially back in the day when like Julia Child came and said it was like the most European grocery store. So for a city like Chicago that has a huge, like demographic of international people, it was like the place where they could find goods that they could only find at home. And that's probably why it was such a big deal here in Chicago for a long time. But since, online shopping and other places have taken over, particularly Whole Foods, when they're pushed for organic, it's just really been going downhill in sales. And about 10 years ago, they closed down a bunch of stores and there were only 6 remaining. And now they've announced that they're all closing down. It was really an interesting read because the CEO, the president, is absolutely blaming Whole Foods for like coming in and basically, taking over. But I think what the worst part about it, and this was actually sparked by a conversation on our Facebook page, so make sure you follow us and check out where the article's posted. They gave their employees absolutely no heads up. Wow. Like I read in one of the articles that, they announced Saturday that they were closing, and some employees actually read it in the paper and had to go to their manager like, is this real? So, I mean, full-time employees with no severance pay, with no severance packages at all, no help in any way, just like they had a job yesterday and then today they don't. So I think that's the most shocking thing to hear about, like a hometown grocery store and them treating their people like that. But right now everything is like crazy on sale. They're literally like just marking things down until the last thing's off the shelf, and then they close the doors and turn the lights off and it's done. So
absolutely.
Kind of scary to see how fast it can happen like that.
In the drop of a dime. I know this happened, I think, 5 years ago to Dominic's, which is another grocery store in Chicago. Now it's happening at Treasure Island. And knowing to me, I was like, I don't think I've ever actually even been in a Treasure Island before. So this goes to show like what I may know. And I've seen them around the city. There's one on Broadway, other places. And I swore that they were building one on Montrose, around like Montrose and Hazel, like close to Lakeshore Drive. I swore I saw a sign that there was a Treasure Island being built there. Maybe I'm tripping. I know my boy was like, I didn't see it, but you did. I thought I did, but maybe I could be wrong. So the fact that it's not being built anymore, maybe they're going to turn into another grocery store. I don't know. Whole Foods is 100% taking over in Chicago. Also, there's obviously Trader Joe's everywhere. There's Aldi, which I'm not a big Aldi fan. I'm not a big off-brand food person. Don't kill me for that. I think it's gross. It creeps me out. But I was never a Treasure Island fan. I think the biggest thing is the fact that a lot of employees found out on social media and on the internet. I think that's a big issue. Right. And I think I also read that most of the employees that have been there, 5, 10 plus years aren't even getting severance packages, which I think is a big foul. They may end up in a lawsuit because of that. that. So I think it's just a tragic end to a grocery store. Obviously, there's Jewels out there as well. That's just too much competition. And it was funny, someone said it's like gentrification of grocery stores or something like that. So that could be true too. So it's unfortunate. More will come with that story. But sorry, Treasure Island, but you're just unfortunately the next one to bite the bullet of things closing down in Chicago.
Right. We'll have to see if they get bought out the way Dominic's did. Maybe somebody will come in and swoop in and buy them real quick. But as of right now, they're gone.
More to come about that story, but a little bit sad. And unfortunately, and hopefully the employees that are getting laid off will end up back on their feet very, very soon. It's crazy to not get a severance pack. It's just like you're going to have money one day and no more checks coming after that. A lot of times they'll take care of you for, 3 months or 6 months until you find something else. So that's I think, the biggest thing coming from that story.
Yeah, very sad.
Awesome. This weekend, Chicago Marathon is this Sunday. I see it each and every year. I won't be in Chicago, I think, at this time yet. I won't be back in town yet, but it's always a crazy scene in the city. It takes over all the north side, downtown, South Loop, near West Side. So it's actually this Sunday, October 7th. I think they're planning over 45,000 people will be through the 29 Chicago neighborhoods. Our sponsor for the Wrigley Report, Jason, he's actually going to be running in the Chicago Marathon. So shouts out, Jason. Do well. He runs a lot. So I think it's a great thing. And I've always wanted to do a marathon, like a half marathon. To actually go through a full marathon takes guts. It takes patience. It takes perseverance. So anyone that actually does it gets 100% kudos from me too. So it starts, I think, they start in Grant Park. They go up north, they end up coming back around south, and it ends at Grant Park as well, too. So most of the city will be shut down. It's this Sunday. If you've never actually seen it, and if you're in the area, go out and support. It's a great cause. It's a great event. It's just a lot of different types of people in the city. It's just a cool moment to be in the city. They do it every single year. So this Sunday, if you're in the area, go out and support the Chicago Marathon. Have you been out there or seen the Chicago Marathon before or what?
No, I haven't, because this is the first time I've lived like downtown. So I'm excited because I'm going to check it out. But kind of cool. The 40th year that this race has gone on. It's always the first year in October since 1977. And the only year that they ever didn't have it was in 87, and they held a half marathon instead. So just a long-standing tradition here in Chicago, partly because they give like prize money. So it lures like record holders. So the best of the best are going to be running out there. It's going to be a really fun weekend and really packed. So if you're planning on like driving around or being downtown or whatever, just be ready for crowds because it's going to be crazy.
It's crazy. So you think another African's going to win?
I don't know. I can't answer that.
I've
never seen one. I've never seen like an actual race. So
usually it's someone from that descent. I mean, obviously that's what they do. Normally they win, but it's a crazy day. It's a good event. I know where you live, close to Addison. I think it runs to that area. So definitely, if you're there, it's cool to check out. The downside is, I mean, everything's shut down. All the roads are blocked off, but it is a lot of people. You'll wake up to like a lot of cheering. So I think it starts around like 7:38 and 8:30. I think they stagger them in 3 groups. So the first thing you'll hear this morning is people cheering, but it's always a good time, and it's for a good cause, and it brings a lot of people in the city together. So make sure you check it out if you're in the city this weekend.
For sure.
Next, let's talk about this Chicago hotel worker strike. I know it's been going on for a while, but what's the update there?
So like 2 weeks ago, we had kind of reported that it was done, but we were just kidding. 16 hotels have now reached agreements with the housekeeper, doorman, cooks, and other workers. The strike started September 7th. And so the whole background of it was the demand for year-round health insurance and other improvements to work conditions in their contracts. So these new contracts that they're fighting for are going to ensure that hotel workers are going to keep their health care year-round. So what a lot of people don't know is that these people get laid off in the winter time when tourism to Chicago is low. There's less demand for hotel workers. So, and they don't give them these jobs like seasonal jobs. They hire them and then, we're going to lay you off for the winter and bring you back. So then that means that it's just absolutely, like with Treasure Island, it's just a flip of a coin. Like you're gone, no severance package, no benefits. And then they don't have to give a lot of them benefits at all because they're not technically year round. They're, seasonal employment, even though that's not how the job was given to them. So the hotel workers have been protesting around the clock, primarily for the uninterrupted health insurance. And then, of course, being laid off during the slow season. So hotels just seem to be not coming to an agreement. Actually, I work near the Civic Opera House in the West Loop, and there's a protest going on right outside right now.
Wow, that's
So,
crazy.
yeah, we got like a note from our building, was like, be careful when you walk outside. So, I think it's a really great thing for the city of Chicago. We should be treating our employees better, and it's really great. Great job to these people for holding out and standing up for what they believe in.
Agree. I'm actually glad that they're doing it. If they don't have the benefits, or it's sometimes it's tough because like if you're not working, you're not making money while you're on strike. But a lot of times you need
Right.
to do these things to make a stand and make some change. So kudos to them. It sounds like there's 9 hotels that are still left on strike. Sounds like
Mm-hmm.
it will get resolved very soon, but it's definitely something to note and keep up with in the city of Chicago.
Right. And let's be honest, some of these hotels make bank.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you guys make money. You could take care of your people.
Man, they charge $200, $300, $400 a night sometimes. Like if there's a
Right.
conference going on, I've
Or
seen
the
some
Chicago
rates.
Marathon. Hotels are
Yep.
crazy this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. They'll be charged an arm and a leg, but they'll all be sold out. So these hotels have the money. They all work together. They have the money. Just pay the people.
For sure.
Next, Hillary Clinton. Not sure why she was. Well, I know why she was in town. Not sure why she even is in the media or supporting people. But she's actually, obviously, she was a former Democratic presidential candidate. Didn't win against Donald Trump. I voted for her. Thought she could have won. Obviously, the Russians stepped in and didn't let that happen. But anyway, so she was in Chicago this past week. She's actually in support for Democratic governor candidate J.B. Pritker. He was a major supporter of her and her failed efforts to get in the White House. So there was an article in the Chicago Tribune. She's actually endorsing him. She was in town this past Monday. I think they spoke in front of several high school-age girls about like leadership at Evolve Her. It's a shared working space in River North. So she's fully endorsing him. Not sure if it'll work. He did actually win the Democratic, position. He's actually going to be going up against Governor Rauner. I think those are the top 2 candidates right now that's going to be coming up. I'm not necessarily sure who I am going to vote for. I definitely need to do a lot of research, but he's actually been in defense of Rauner, and I mean actually opposing Rauner for all the legalities, the debt that we're in the state of Illinois right now. So he has some ideas against it. Not necessarily sure I even care about this topic right now, but we are talking about it right now. Do you have anything to add on that? Because I don't necessarily really care, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of interesting. Well, the debate between Pritzker and Rauner is going to be like really interesting this year because they both are just running the most slanderous campaigns against each other. So I will say, do your research before you vote and don't make
Definitely.
an uninformed decision. But what's kind of interesting about this is Pritzker's backing of Clinton in 2008 created some family friction. So he served as national co-chair for her campaign, and that's why she's backing her. But then Pritzker's sister, who's also big in politics, her name is Penny Pritzker. She backed Obama's 2008 presidential bid. So
Okay.
it's just kind of like causing some controversy, some family friction. This is kind of like a really big endorsement for him and his campaign right now. And that's kind of why it's trending and something to look out for. Also, it's ominous of the fact that, with this being said and Hillary still saying in local politics, we probably will see another presidential run from her. So I know a lot of people are hoping that will happen. If she'll take on Trump again is a
Ugh.
question that
You think she would really
we
run
can't answer.
again?
I don't think she would. That's what
I
I'm
don't
saying.
think so either.
I think she will run again, but I don't think if Trump's in the running. But I think she
Right.
will run again.
Unfortunately, I feel like if she ran against Trump in 2020, that Trump will win again. The
Yeah.
problem is I don't even know who we have, right now that could even run against him to beat him. I'm not actually sure at all. But I don't think it would be her. I don't think that's a good idea.
Right. Yeah. I think she will run again, but I don't think it will be against Trump. I think it will be after Trump exits the White House.
Kanye West, man, 2024, it's coming.
Oh, God.
Awesome. It's been a lot going on in the city. Fall's here. There's actually, I think it's called like Smoketober. It's a festival, I think, in the northwest suburbs. I think it's a beer fest with brats, which sounds amazing. I think it's coming up. I think October 6th or October 13th. Be on the lookout for that. We also wanted to talk about commuting in Chicago. There's a lot of talk going on about whether people drive, work from home, or take the train or bus. And that's always a big topic in the city. We'll save that and probably talk about that a little bit more next week because we got to get on to our quick hits as well because we have a lot to discuss there. But first, I think we should pay one more bill. I'm going to let you do that.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Quick Hits is brought to you by our awesome sponsor, Posh by Imani. It's women's apparel boutique based out of Houston, founded on faith, love, and the right to stand out. I'm talking that it's serving all women one curve at a time with quality, affordable, chic clothing. Make sure you check them out, poshbyimani.com, where you can shop and receive free shipping until the end of the year. Plus, they got a new location coming soon. Follow them on social media. It's Posh by Imani on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Seriously cool clothes and seriously awesome ladies, so check them out.
Yep, Madeline's dope. Obviously coming up for the holidays. Please give them some support because Alternative Fast Chicago said so. Now, switching to quick hits. Got some good ones here. First off, this was a crazy story from this past weekend. Earl Thomas, safety for the Seattle Seahawks. He broke his leg this past weekend, and as he was getting carted off, he actually flipped off the bench of Seattle. He held out. He wanted more money. He wanted an extension. He didn't get it. He ended up coming back before the first week, ended up playing, broke his leg. Now he's out, may not get that extension with Seattle. Big mess. But with this happening, does this justify Le'Veon Bell, the Pittsburgh Steelers, his decision to hold out? What do you think?
Well, first of all, did you see Le'Veon Bell's Instagram post
Absolutely.
after this happened? Yeah. Oh. Okay. Just making sure. So, so Le'Veon Bell, of course, took it straight to Twitter or Instagram and said, SMH, get right, bro. I'll continue to be the quote bad guy for all of us. So you and I already have kind of conflicting, ideals on this topic, but I will say in this case, like, yes, it was his comments were justified and this was justified. Like, obviously this is not an instance that we're seeing on just one team. This is like a trend. This is how all of them are feeling. And so, yes, absolutely. I think it's going to take Le'Veon Bell and Earl Thomas to kind of take a stand to get more money. Of course, I feel like it's just terrible and shady and they should be playing the game. But I understand, Thomas's injury highlighted the reason that Bell's not reported to work and already left more than like $3 million on the table, not signing his new contract, and Bell would make, $800,000 per game if he just signs the franchise tag. So Bell's comment is obviously a shot at some Steeler fans, some players, some people who've called out the running back for being selfish in his decision. He's prioritizing future earnings over the team's season. And this injury can make Bell more resolute in his decision, but the thought process from Bell's camp is to minimize the wear and tear. And so I'm with him. Got to stand up for yourself at some point.
Yeah, I also agree with you. Fortunately, I have to agree with you there since everyone knows my side on Le'Veon Bell. Unfortunately for my fantasy team, I want him to be out there. He is actually going to be back. I think he announced he's coming back the Week 7 bye week. So I think he did the right thing, and this actually justified it because if Le'Veon Bell had came back sooner and he got hurt, he could be in the same situation right now. The downside of it is it's interesting that he announced it, I'm coming back Week 7. Why aren't you coming back now? The team's struggling. They really need you. You have to announce that I'm coming back in 3 weeks from now. That was a little odd. That was a little bit peculiar. But, hey, he is going to come back. The crazy part is if he comes back late in the season, is he going to be in game shape? I'm sure he's keeping in shape now, but game shape is totally different than working out and working out with the strength coach or anything like that. Hopefully he doesn't suscept himself to injury right away from coming back a little bit late in the season. But it's a little bit unfortunate. I think Earl Thomas will be okay. He actually had a good start to the season. If he can recover, some team will sign him, maybe not for as much money as he wants to, but in the end, I think this does justify Le'Veon Bell for sitting out, and it's just the nature of the beast, but I think he's making the right call sitting out, and Pittsburgh's just going to have to deal with it or trade him or whatnot, but shouts out to Earl Thomas. He's been a great player, had a great season so far, and I think he'll bounce back, and he has a lot of money, so he'll be okay.
He'll be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. The NBA, they're actually going to be banning. So Kanye West, he just signed with the Adidas brand. They're coming out with the Yeezy shoe. It's like a Yeezy basketball shoe. It sounds like the NBA is going to be banning that shoe. Is this fair or foul?
Fair, because the shoe is ugly. No, I'm just kidding. The shoe is like like neon, super distracting, and I think that's kind of why they're going to be banning it. But also, I feel like it's a political statement. Ye is obviously not really right now. He's got a lot going on. He's speaking out for Trump and pissing a lot of people off, to be frank. And so I really just think it was like, we're not going to let this happen. NBA is almost like preventing what's going on with the NFL. and the Colin Kaepernick and the political stance coming on to the ball court and just saying like, nope, no Yeezys, no Kanye, we don't want anything to do with it. And I think that's why they're doing it. I don't think it has anything to do with the shoe. But their statement is that the shoe's distracting. But I think
it is a very ugly
Kanye's
shoe.
distracting.
Very ugly shoe. But overall, I mean, let people wear what they want. People wear crazy shoes in the NBA as it is, different colors, match their team. Some wear shoe colors that aren't even match their team at all. I think they're stepping in a little bit too much, so I'm going to take the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm calling it foul. Let people wear they want. But I do agree with you that they're trying to basically keep Kanye out of NBA talk. It's a mess right now with everything going on. So I do see that side. But keep it short and sweet. I think it's foul. Let people wear what they want and represent themselves how they want. And I think at that point, you're stepping in a little too much and doing too much. But overall, I do think I agree with you. I think the shoe is hideous. I think all Yeezys are ugly. I've never been a fan of the Yeezy shoe. People love it, though. I think they only love it. I think the fact that it's Kanye and it costs so much, but those things are hideous shoes. My boy Corbin, he bought one recently. He wants to already take it back. I'm like, why did you get that? He thinks he's going to get it and resell it because those things are hideous.
Sorry, that sucks.
Right? What else we got?
Mac Miller, rest in peace, his benefit concert coming up. They just announced it's going to be in LA on Halloween, and it's going to benefit the Mac Miller Circles Fund. So I don't know if you saw the lineup, but some big names coming out: Chance the Rapper, Schoolboy Q, Travis Scott, A$AP Rocky, Za, a whole lot more. I had to look at the Mac Miller Circle Fund. Of course, this is going to launch with the benefit concert, and it's to promote programming, resources, and opportunities to youth from undeserved communities. And so apparently this is what his mom is launching in his memory. What do you think about that?
I think it's a great cause. I mean, the concert is going to be dope. I mean, they have Chance, Action Bronson, Anderson .Paak, who else? Travis Scott, Miguel, SZA, Ty Dolla $ign, Vince Staples. It's like a who's who of rappers. I mean, to have tickets for that, and this is going to be an amazing concert, probably be very, very emotional. If I was in LA, I would love to be there. Obviously, I'm not, but I think it's for a good cause. I think they're going to raise a lot of money, and obviously being able to give back and help young people who live in communities, to help them with programming. It's always for a good cause. I think it's a great way to start it. So if you're out in LA, you can help support it. If you're not, I'm sure there'll get a lot of people that'll travel to it. It'll definitely be sold out, but I think it's a great idea. What about you?
I think it's super tight. I think that it's awesome that all these awesome, celebrities, like big name stars, but like real actual musicians, like people of quality, like not people who are just using their fame to come out there. People that actually like put out quality music are coming out to commemorate Mac Miller, because I mean, honestly, he was on the cusp of his career. Like his last album was so good and really just had such a bright future going forward, and so young. And so I think it's cool to see them supporting. I mean, it's very obvious they're supporting his career and his music through doing this. I always worry about, when we see drug related deaths like this and how that is going to be portrayed in the media, because obviously you're going to see people, almost protesting it to that extent. Like, why are we romanticizing this? But the Circle Foundation sounds awesome, and I hope they raise a lot of money for
sure. And I think with Mac Miller, I think people realize it was almost like an accidental suicide. It wasn't like he actually tried to actually kill himself.
Right. The day that
it happened, he was on Instagram Live. He seemed fine and good spirits. He was like on the piano playing music, and he just didn't wake up, the next day. So I think that's why it's a lot of support. It's unfortunate. He was very loved in the community, so I think it'll be a great event.
Absolutely. Speaking of unfortunate, was Casey the right winner for Big Brother season 20? B.Hun?
Yeah, I know you got some friends out there that love the show, watched it.
Yeah,
I do too. It was an amazing season. Definitely the best season I've seen in ever or quite some time. I really want to be on Big Brother. Maybe I'm just going to try out and take Alternative Fact Chicago on Big Brother. Be on the lookout for that. Big Brother, if you hear this, pick me up. I would love to do the show. But overall, I think Tyler should have won. Casey's not a bad winner, but I think if Tyler would have won, it would have stamped this as the greatest season of all time. Tyler actually dominated the entire season. He ran the house. He made all the decisions behind the scenes, won a lot of competitions. Casey should have been second place. I see why she won, but I think a lot of times with Big Brother, what they do, it's a different type of show now, to where the masculinity and those who run the entire season don't win. For example, with season 19 with Paul, he ended up finishing in second place. I think you run up against a lot of bitter jurors out there who won't vote for you for the simple fact that someone voted them out. And I think that's what happened to them. He lost a couple votes for it. So for that reason, that's why Casey won. She's not a bad winner. She did deserve it. but unfortunately Tyler was better. But hey, he ended up getting $75,000. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, he not mad.
And I know you didn't see it, so we'll move on
Thank
from
you.
that. Next, and this one just came out today, Toys R Us, they're deciding to come out of bankruptcy, and they're going to get funded. Hopefully, there's an investment group that came together that made revamp the store, and help to get a rebrand. Is this a good move?
No.
What?
It is not a good move. Listen,
Why?
my background is in marketing. I love a good rebrand. I think that it does great things for a company that is struggling to get a hold of their voice and rebrand. But in this case, the toy store is dead. Amazon is everything. You don't go into a toy store anymore. You literally buy your kids what they want on Amazon and get it shipped to your door. This toy store is absolutely dead. And I think that they're just making a huge mistake.
I think that it's a good idea. I definitely think a rebrand will help, but they have to rebrand it in a way that's going to be competitive to how you shopped in 2018. I do agree that with Amazon online shopping, the days of actually just going to Toys R Us, I remember like in a kid, like going to a Toys R Us, it was like a palace of toys. You like didn't know where to start. You didn't know where to end. It just seemed to go on forever and ever. Those days have definitely changed, but I think if you have the right investment team to come up with some ideas to make it unique and clever to kids in 2018, I think it can work. I mean, Toys R Us is Toys R Us. I mean, it's a great store. Kids love toys. I think it could work, and I think we're in the age where some kids may actually still like going and being in the presence of a toy store, where obviously kids can't buy things on Amazon. They don't really care about that. So we'll see. Hopefully they do it the right way, but I'm all for a rebrand of Toys R Us. And don't be a hater.
I'm not a hater. I think it's a nostalgia
No,
thing. You're saying Toys R Us is this awesome brand, but the kids don't know it because their parents never took them. That's why they're bankrupt. Our generation, these millennials with the kids didn't take their kids to Toys R Us. They ordered them the stuff on Amazon. So they don't know what Toys R Us is. It doesn't mean anything to them. So I think it's some big wigs up here somewhere that feel nostalgic to the toy store and want to bring it back. I just think it's going to fail again. These kids don't even know what it is.
I hope you're wrong on that if they rebrand it in the right way to make it clever.
I hope I'm right.
It could fail again.
I hope I'm right.
For sure.
Anyways, so I was out super late last night watching the Chicago Cubs severely disappoint me. As you know, super choked in the wild card game against the Brewers in true Cubs fashion, lost to the Brewers. This was like our 7th loss to them this season, or 5th.
That's crazy.
Sixth loss, 5 in the regular season, I think, and this was.
They got the number.
Yeah, freaking crazy. Biggest question is, are they going to make changes in the offseason, or are we going to say the same old Cubs in 2019?
So I think if this was a long time ago and the Cubs hadn't won the World Series in 2016, people would give them a lot more flack for it. But I think they're still rolling off the 2016 hangover. So I think they're not getting as much negative attention for losing. And obviously they lost last year in the playoffs. I think this team is just mentally exhausted. They played a lot the last few years. They had a lot of games postponed. They had to play a lot of games late in the season, to where their offense just seemed exhausted. They had a lot of injuries. I don't think the Chicago Cubs need to make a ton of changes. I think overall they do need to they somehow, some way need to get Jason Hayward out of there. Like, he's a great, great guy, but in the playoff time, he disappears. He did it yesterday. He does it every single season. I don't know what goes on in his head come playoff time, but is worth so much money to the Cubs. I think he's really hurting them right now. Somehow they need to go out and either get Bryce Harper. They need to get Machado. They need a big shakeup to the team overall, to where they don't need to make a lot of moves, but just a couple small changes. And first of all, they just need to rest. I think they need to just go on vacation for a while. Don't pick up a bat. Don't pick up a glove. Just rethink on everything and just come out with a fresh start next season. They did win 95 games. They did great, for most of the season. They had some tough spots, so they aren't necessarily in a bad way. I know people are trying to say, oh, should the GM be on the hot seat, or should Madden be on the hot seat? Absolutely not. To make the playoffs, 4 or 5 straight seasons is great. Most teams will be dying to do that. They just need to make a couple of wholesale changes. I think the bigger thing is the wild card format, and we need to talk about that. Like, why do 2 teams make the wild card that's actually considered the playoffs, but it's just a 1-game playoff? You can actually go from having the best record like they did. They lost to St. Louis, they lost at home to Milwaukee, and then they lost at home to Colorado, and they were out. Like, they should just be one wild card winner. The wild card winner goes to the next round, and that's that. And I don't think they need to have a one wild card playoff game and call it the playoffs. It's a weird terminology. I think it's just for ratings right now. It's a farce. So I think they got screwed right there. But overall, don't make a lot of changes. I think the Cubs will be okay.
Right. No, I can agree with you. I think that the one game wild card playoff game is like redemption and beer pong. It's just not quite enough
Right,
to make a
right.
comeback. It just seems like a tease. And I'll stick with you. But I just piggybacking off what you said about them being exhausted. I just think that they had so much. I think that they were exhausted of each other at the end. And I think
Yep,
it showed. I think with the injuries, I
yep,
think Chris being in, Chris being out, I think Addison Russell and everything he has going on. And
yep,
Jason Hayward is notorious for doing this, not just with the Cubs, but with the Braves, getting towards
yep.
the end of the season and just disappearing. So I think as a team, they exhausted each other, and that's where all the issues came. I did hear a rumor that 2019 is going to be Joe Maddon's last season with the Cubs. I think
Oh wow.
the biggest mistake they could make is to get rid of Joe Madden this year. All in all, he is a fantastic asset to the team. I think putting him in the hot seat would be the worst decision they could make. Getting rid of him, letting him go would be the worst decision he can make, because he has proved that he can take this team, distance. And I think he's going to do it again. So I think that they're going to make some changes in the offseason internally in terms of the actual team members. And then, of course, we're going to see if Addison Russell even comes back next year.
Sound like he got suspended for 40 games. That just came out a couple hours ago.
Oh,
So
wow.
I think 100% he's gone. Hopefully his career is not over, but I think he's going to need a fresh start out of Chicago. So I think he's out of there for sure. And talk about a dagger to the heart for your team, like to lose to St. Louis at home, which is a rival. And then obviously for the playoff tiebreaker, for the division tiebreaker, you have Milwaukee come into your stadium. They beat you. They have to celebrate in your face. And then the very next day, a team coming from the West Coast, Colorado, comes into your stadium and beats you. You have to celebrate. That has to be mentally just a dagger to your heart. And, of course, I'm tolerant for once a Chicago sports team, and then they let me down like this. I should be used to this being a Detroit sports fan, but this had to happen. This is why I should have never been tolerant of the Cubs. But, obviously, I live by Wrigley Field. They're not the White Sox, so it's okay. But those are some bad losses. They need to rest, take a vacation, and come back fresh next season.
Right. Way to go, Choke Chicago.
Chicago. That's a great name. That was some dope quick hits. Let's get to our clown of the week before we get out of here. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to take this one?
You go.
All right, for sure. So we talked about this, and you thought at first that this might have been a good thing for them to do, which I think after you hear this, you're going to definitely agree with me on this. But I love this guy in terms of the music that he makes. He's dope. People give him flack, but I think he makes great music. But unfortunately today, my clown of the week has to go to Justin Bieber. Now, over a couple weeks ago, it came out that Justin Bieber, Hailey Baldwin, they got married in a private ceremony at the courthouse. I guess they're going to do another big wedding here soon. But the big issue, all four, getting married, I don't care if they're 24 or 21. If you love someone, get married, have at it, soak your wild oats. The biggest problem is they did not get a prenup. Justin, what were you thinking? And the biggest reason, and this is the only reason we can wrap this up of why he gets the clown of the week. Justin Bieber is reportedly worth a whopping $265 million. Hailey Baldwin, while she's doing great, she's only estimated a net worth of $3 million. You subtract that, that's $262 million that if for some reason they get a divorce, they have to now split. That's just the mistake of a 24-year-old thinking that you're in love, and it may or may not. It may work. And for this reason, I'm hoping that it works. But now you may be out of half of that if it does not work. That is self-explanatory. You always protect your assets. You never know what's going to happen. It's a long life to live, and I hope it works out for them. But unfortunately, Justin Bieber, you better go make a lot more music, make a lot more money, because you may need it if for some reason this does not work out. But Hailey Baldwin, she just hit the jackpot. She hit the lottery. She doesn't have to model or do anything another day in her life if she doesn't want to, because she just hit the lottery there. But unfortunately, Justin Bieber, you do have to get the clown of the week. And the other day, you were thinking that it was a good idea. Like, you were like, oh, they both have money. Well, he has a lot more money than her.
Right, he does, but it's not like she doesn't have money. Like, it's not like Justin Bieber just married me. Like, I'm just saying, like, Hailey Baldwin has money.
Hey.
She has a famous father. She has a famous sister. She comes from a famous dynasty, like, of people. Like, she's not hurting. It's not
at all.
It's not like she is a gold digger and Justin Bieber didn't get a prenup, but she can take him for every cent that he's worth. Like, I think that
I get it.
They're fine.
I'm hoping that they make it. I do hope so.
And also, like, some people do marry for life, B.Hun. So it's going to be fun.
I agree. But fortunately, we are in the age right now where this doesn't happen. So I'm hoping for the best.
Actually, I just read
Skeptical,
online that millennials are killing divorce and that the divorce
Good.
rates are like substantially down right now. So
Good. So I hope that trend continues.
way to go, Justin Bieber, for being a forefront runner on women's rights and not getting a prenup. On to my clown of the week. Desiigner is my clown of the week. Got into a heated exchange, and he's known for just like blowing up and getting arguments with people, like fist fights in the street. You know, he was sued for going after some woman who stole from his sister, and of course he's in this like exposure case where he exposed himself to some women. So not really the smartest person, but he got in this heated exchange with a fan who was egging him on during a concert, and there's video of the incident. Absolutely wild. Designer's beefing with this trash talker, and he's going to grab the man's shirt and just absolutely punch him straight in the face, left hook to the cheek. And then we're told that this heckler is like yelling at Designer during his set, and he got super mad. Here's what the heckler said: "You're a knockoff version of Future." And that's what set Designer off. And that is why he got all mad. And
he hears it so much, probably. He probably hears it all the time.
I'm sure he does. But even more, he went after a fan in the middle of the concert and beat him up. And there's video footage of it.
That's awesome. I did see that today. That was crazy.
Congratulations. You're my clown of the week. Also, coming to the Red Bull Tour in Chicago. So you can see him and heckle him live if you feel like it.
So I was at one of my best friend's birthday. Actually, Corbin, we were at Underground nightclub in Chicago a few weeks ago, and Designer had the table right next to us. And good old me, I'll talk to anybody. I ran up and talked to him. Couldn't understand a word he said, but he was a super cool dude. We chopped it up for a minute. I know what I said. I'm not sure what he responded with, but you can never understand him as it is. But I'm glad I didn't say, "Hey, you sound just like Future." He probably would have swung on me too.
Right. We'd have the video of you on World Star Hip Hop.
If he hit me all he wants, now to sue him, make some money.
There you go. There you go.
That's a good one though, Designer, and he probably hears it so much that he probably just sick of hearing the Future comparison. Even now, I mean, a couple years later, like, come on, we get it. You know, you sound like Future, but you don't have to keep saying that to me.
Panda.
This has been an awesome episode, and it's crazy that people think that it's easy to do this. The fact that we have to research all these topics, we're all over the place. We talk about any and everything, and the fact that we're so well prepared, I think we both should get a 2 thumbs up for being prepared for this episode, because those are some good topics, some deep topics, but we're always well prepared. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks.
And that's why I'd say we are the #1 podcast in Chicago. We really appreciate all the support. The listeners, like I said, the episodes are growing, listeners are growing. That's always a good thing that people are still following the show. I like that they're catching up on old episodes of the show and catching up to now. So please keep doing it. Like I said, please make sure you leave a review. Add us on all social media. It always helps. We really do appreciate it. I'm going to get up out of here. It's late. I'm going to go to the gym. Anything you need to say, what do you want to say to the listeners before we sign off here?
Well, thanks for making it official. Thanks for defining the relationship and letting me on. And then hit me up on Instagram, Cait No Jenner, Cait. Make sure you follow the podcast on social media. B.Hun does a great job of, hitting you with the news all the time, and you can get it right there. And that's it.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining the show. You've done a great job so far. The feedback has been great. You're stuck with me now, so hope you know what you signed up for.
Oh, Lord.
Shouts out to 247liveculture.com. They do host our show on their platform. Check out their website, too. So we got a lot more to come, a lot more events to announce. So we'll always be out in the city of Chicago. But we really, really appreciate you all. So we're getting out of here. This has been episode 61. Like I said, we'll have the Women's March, one of the founders, on the episode next week for a segment or two. So that'll be good. Be on the lookout for that. But anything else, I think we can get up out of here.
Nope, that's it.
All right, so this has been episode 61, B.Hun with Cait, Alternative Fact Chicago, and we will talk to you next week. Peace.
Bye.